Greetings. My name is Patrick Donohue, founder of DealPen, a professional capital markets advisory firm. A key aspect to DealPen is our International Advisory Board, where we have and maintain relationships throughout the world. So not only can we help companies in the United States understand where they can source capital and growth strategies in our own backyard in Canada, but also throughout the world. And with this experience, I have a few insights to share on our video series blog today. When thinking about approaching international investors, it is important to remember that they have a fiduciary duty and an interest to invest. So there are several resources online and publications where you can take the time to understand what companies and investment firms may be looking for prior to making the approach. I always encourage companies, especially earlier stage companies, to think about strategies on how they can approach investors directly. At certain times, and especially international, it is very helpful to have intermediaries to play a role to introduce you to the people that you need to get in front of. And it's almost impossible not to have those intermediaries be from their home countries. But it's also difficult to understand who these intermediaries are and if they're truly going to be working in your best interest. And that can be a big issue overseas. If you have a substantial opportunity and you're raising over $100 million, you are going to want to understand who the sovereign wealth funds are. There are publications that are available that list not only the sovereign wealth funds, but also key contacts. And I would suggest, starting to establish some of those relationships directly and at least starting to get a sense of who these entities are. So even if you do get to them through an intermediary, you've spent some time understanding who they are and how they could be a fit for you. With the international investment banks, your best bet is to look at international conferences to be able to understand where these investment bankers are sourcing deals, what their opinions are about in the markets, which you can hear on panel discussions, which can help you form opinions. And then finally, accessing the public markets. There's a difference between being public and being listed, especially overseas. Just because you're public, you may have a large number of shareholders, doesn't necessarily mean you would be listed on an exchange. In the United States, that could be 500 shareholders. Internationally, that number can vary. If you are going to be a listed entity, that's where you're going to need to think about where and how you can conduct a transaction where you're raising an amount of money that will attract participants in the market, namely investment banks, who are going to help you raise that money and ultimately get you listed on exchange. Obviously, what most people would call an IPO, but there's also other ways to do it, like reverse mergers. What I always suggest is to take your time. You need to plan ahead. You need to think about where international markets could make sense for you. If you're conducting business in Asia, it may make sense for you to explore sourcing investors in Asia, but always keep in mind it comes with a different set of rules and cultural expectations. So the act of preparation on the front end is critically important on how to source international investors. I hope some of these insights were helpful. Please contact us and log on to dealpen.com, DEALPEN.com. And especially on the Trends from the Bullpen tab, you can find free resources and sign up to follow our blog where we post these video blogs and also other trends that we're seeing in the capital markets. Thank you for logging on, and we look forward to the day where we can meet in person.